Dyer sellers are doing okay. Not as many price drops as other towns, and things are selling. Hey guys, Erica Glenis here for our weekly market update. This week we are talking about Dyer, Indiana. Dyer's doing pretty well. It had some high days on market last month. Looks like those are coming down a little bit, but they're definitely holding their own. So let's talk about what was sold in Dyer in February. So this covers all the sales February 1st through the end of the month, February in 2023. So February 2023, we sold 16 units of real estate for a total volume of about $4.5 million, almost 4.6. Average price, $287,000. With average days on market about 45 days. We're getting list to sales price about 98.6%, which is actually pretty good depending on price drops, which we'll talk about in a little bit. 287 is, it seems low. There are, let's see, I checked at actives. We have $8 million listings on the market. None of these $1 million listings are really doing much right now. They have kind of a high average days on market. Not unusual. That's a pretty specific area. Of these actives, they were all in between. I think the lowest was like 175,000 up through the 400s. There was this one outlier at about, it was like $790,000. I pulled that one out just to kind of get an idea of what the average would be without that high priced one. And the average sales price turned out to be $254,000, which seems low based on what we've been seeing, again, over the past 2 years. I think it's an indication that Dyer is moving back to where we were, before the pandemic and before everything like that. Still up year over year. Most of our towns are, but not those tremendous gains we had been seeing. So comparing that to last month in January, we sold 12 units in January for a total of about $4.2 million. That gives us an average sales price of $353,000. Average days on market was 37 days. So $66,000 higher sales price in January versus February. That's a pretty big difference. We saw something similar last week in Munster. We've seen it in some of the other towns. I don't know that reflects, a price cratering or anything like that, but I think it reflects that what is selling right now is stuff that is priced well and isn't really hanging around on the market. One other interesting thing to note about these sales numbers in Dyer for February, 7 of the 16 were condos, townhouses, or duplexes, which means only 9 were single family homes. And again, condos, townhouses, and duplexes, no matter how nice they are less expensive than single family homes. So in Dyer, these numbers obviously aren't very high. We're seeing something like Cherville or parts of Munster that have these, lots of condos, lots of townhouses and stuff, making up almost 50% of our sales prices. That's absolutely a reflection of the fact that those properties can be attained for much less money than, a single family home of about the same style. So looking at pending listings in Dyer, these are ones where the house has been listed, has found a buyer, but hasn't yet closed. We have 28 pending listings in Dyer with an average sales price of $323,000. Average days on market, 45 days. Interesting to note that of that 28, 10 of them are condos or townhouses, with the 18 being single family. So, what is that? A third of them are condos. We are absolutely still seeing those lower price properties in the mix there. Average price, $323,000, exactly the same days on market, 45 as we saw in February. February average sales price was $287,000, $323,000. $25,000 is obviously a lot of money, but when we're working with this broad spectrum of housing available in Dyer, that's kind of just a blip on the radar. So it looks like our numbers are actually really stable right now. Now, active listings in Dyer, there's kind of some interesting stuff here. There are currently 33 active listings in Dyer right now, and listed at an average price of $386,000. Average days on market is 50 days, which is way better than what we had for January, which our active days on market was 73 days, which that's, a pretty good jump. 50 days, still kind of long, but, not terrible, not 73 days worth. Another interesting thing about these active listings, so there are 5 of these listings are new construction. 10 of them are condos and townhouses, 23 are single family. So again, you kind of got that 1/3 condo townhouse thing. Also of the 33, 8 of them are $1 million listings. There's, a handful of ones, obviously in Briar Ridge and stuff like that. There's that, it's on Joliet Street. They're trying to sell it as a commercial property. It's been on the market like over 1,000 days, which, whatever, I guess it doesn't matter. Maybe they want to look at their price. It's fine. And then the other that I talked about it before, that like $6 million potential custom built home, also still on the market. So like I said, 5 new constructions, these $8 million homes that I took out, they kind of skew days on market and stuff like that. I pulled those out of our active listings. Just the math means that there are only 19 active listings in Dyer that aren't giant mansions or new construction. So in all of Dyer, all condos, townhouses, regular nice houses, small houses, the whole thing, there are only 19 listings in Dyer. That is going to be the thing that continues to keep our prices high, whether it's in Dyer, anywhere. When you don't have that kind of inventory, you are going to have higher prices. Buyers are staying home sometimes because of interest rates and everything, but the reality is when you have 19 homes for sale, the amount of people that want to move into a community by Dyer, it's going to be pretty good. Something else that I looked into Dyer for this video, we talked about it last week in Munster, so I wanted to check it out. In Munster, there were kind of a bump in closed sales in February, which, everything's slow, but Munster is really kind of slow. And then there's this bump. What I found out and talked about last week is that there were a number of price drops in Munster. So we've talked about this in different towns. We can't depend on market valuations for comps from last summer or pretty much kind of all of last year. We've kind of hit a cliff. We are not going to have those crazy kind of numbers. So you're seeing these sellers do these price drops to get these houses closed. So I went into the Dyer closings to see, are we seeing the same thing in Dyer? Are these sellers finally, getting it together and dropping their prices? I was surprised to find out, honestly, not really. Munster, we had I can look at the property history. They're originally listed at X. They've dropped the price down to Y, finally find a buyer. There were a couple in there that were I think one was $70,000 worth of price drops from their listing date to their sales date. In Dyer, though, I found, there's a single family home originally listed at $224,000. Sold at $217,000. One was listed at $369,000, sold at $339,000. One more, $359,000, sold at $348,000. So there are some price drops going down, but they're not at all significant compared to what we saw in Munster last week. I don't know that there's any significant difference between Dyer and Munster in terms of buyer desirability. Obviously we're pulling in a lot of Illinois buyers. Both of those towns are, close to the border. They both have good school systems. They both have lots of different kinds of housing, from tiny condos to giant mansions. So, with some minor geographic differences, Dyer and Munster are actually very similar. I don't know why Munster would have to have such tremendous price drops versus Dyer. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any big significant difference between the two towns or the citizens of those two towns to indicate that, one's out of their minds and one's awesome, and nothing like that, really. It could just be a matter of Dyer just has more housing, and a lot of it is newer. One of the things in Munster that is dissimilar from the other towns that I talk about, Munster doesn't have a lot of new construction. I always talk about the big condo building on Calumet, but other than that, Munster doesn't have any land to build any real new stuff. So that may be playing a part of it. A lot of the housing in Munster is significantly older than a lot of the housing in Dyer. Munster obviously had a big boom, just gorgeous homes in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Dyer's boom came in more, 90s, 2000s, which means that the houses that are for sale, the used houses that are for sale, probably are not significantly, but certainly have more updating or more recent, insulation and things like that that matter to buyers. So it could be just a difference in the age of the housing stock, but we'll have to keep an eye on it to see, if this continues. Is it an inventory issue? Does Munster have, more listings than Dyer, per capita, or however you want to put it, which keeps those prices lower? So we'll keep an eye on it and see. I do Munster again, I think, in 3 weeks. So we'll see, is there anything we can tease out from this data to figure out what's going on? What do you think is going on? Do you think that it's a matter of the age of the houses? Do you think maybe it's a traffic thing? Do you maybe think it's about the schools or stores or anything else? Please drop a comment down below and let me know. Obviously, I am a real estate agent in the Northwest Indiana area, but I can help you find a good agent pretty much anywhere you are in the world. So, give me a call or text me anytime, 219-765-2062. If it's easier, you can also send me an email at hsbyerica@gmail.com. I would be happy to answer any questions you have, direct you to resources in your area as part of your house purchase or sale. Also, you can check out my website at homesalesbyerica.com. There's a full buyer's guide there, a full seller's guide. You can search for homes. There's other videos, either buyer seller tips or other areas that I cover. There's also a chat link there, so if that's easiest for you, go ahead and click on that and I'd be happy to talk. If it's your first time here, please like and subscribe to my channel. I do these market updates once a week along with buyer seller tips on Thursdays. Next week on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about Crown Point, Indiana. So again, big footprint, lots of different kinds of houses. We'll see if they're kind of falling prey to this price reduction issue or if they're holding strong. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you Thursday.